This is Priscilla Travel, helping you live the dream through travel. So glad that you have taken time out of your day or your evening, your lunchtime, your morning, wherever you are in the world, listening to me talking to you. Uh, Welcome. And I thank you so much for tuning in, right? Uh, Today I'm here to talk about travel protection and why you need it. So, I know a lot of people don't feel comfortable traveling right now. Some people have been traveling, and then some people have been planning to travel, but then they got a little nervous and they decided to push their travel out. So, which is normal, right? But for those people who are traveling, and I'm one of those people, it is possible to travel. You just have to be informed. There's just a few more hoops you have to jump through. And the most important thing right now, based on all the stuff that's been happening, all the news that changes, it seems like every other day, the messaging is different. Talking about in the US right now. So I do pay attention to what's going on in other countries, right? So, but here in the US, it just seems to be we're just caught off guard and we're trying to figure out what's going on. But in the meantime, if you do travel, you can travel. You can travel safely. Although I'm not a medical doctor, you have to take into consideration your unique circumstances, like your job, the people you live with, your health um, profile, what's going on with you, the people that you live with, the people that you interact with. These are decisions that you have to make before you decide to travel. And then if you do, there are other things that you have to do. You have to safeguard yourself and your friends, loved ones, and those who you come in contact with. So, first and foremost, if you're going to travel, you're going to need a vaccine. So, I'm triple vaxxed already, but still, even though I have had my booster, I still have to take precautions. And for those of you who are avid travelers and are looking forward to traveling again, minus one or two places, you're going to need a vaccine to travel. Now, you're also going to need COVID testing, but there's some things that are going on with this variant that are making it a little more tricky. So, right here in the US, we right now are having issues in some places getting COVID tests to go because you need to have a COVID test to go to specific destinations. Mexico, you don't need to go, but almost any other place, you need to have a COVID test taken, probably within 24, anywhere from 24 to 36 hours before you board your flight. 24 hours, you have to have your result back, right, to visit. So those are generally PCR. It depends. Each destination is different. You just have to know. But today, I'm here to talk to you about travel protection. And I'm talking to you about this because there are quite a few people out there who don't have travel protection and they are still traveling. And I'm like, just why? Why? You're taking a risk as it is to travel during the pandemic, but there are things that you could do to mitigate that risk. That means lessen the impact of the risk, right? Because we can't stay inside forever. So, uh, this is what I'm here to talk to you about today: travel insurance and why you need it. You just need it, okay? You need to have travel protection. So, I'm going to talk to you about basic coverages, um, emergency medical and dental, and your epidemic pandemic coverages. So that's what I'm going to talk to you about today. Why? Like I said, because you need to have it. You need it. We're still in a pandemic, but you can still travel. Okay, so let me check and make sure. For those of you who have joined me, thank you for taking your time out to listen to me. I'm here to talk to you about traveling and how to travel, protect your investment. Number one, uh, we know we have to have the testing, but protect your investment. It's not just getting COVID or quarantines you have to watch out. You have to think about your investment. Traveling is an investment. You want to make sure that you protect that money that you shell out to take a trip. Okay, so travel protection will help you with that. Okay, now here are some standard reasons for your basic travel protection or your basic travel insurance plan, right? It covers you if you need to cancel your trip. This is normal stuff, not COVID related, in case you get sick or injured before or during your trip, in case of adverse weather or natural disasters, travel delays or interruptions, or lost, stolen, or delayed baggage. Now, that happened to me, right? And I'm so glad I had it because my bag never made it to France when I went there in September. I was there for 12 days. The bag never made it to me, but I had travel protection to reimburse me. That and a credit card. Make sure you have a credit card, and it would be helpful if that credit card has, it'd be nice if you have a points card. It'll help you with the air, and also some credit cards also give you travel protection as well. So here's just some standard covered reasons. So each policy is different, but these are the things that are under your standard policy. These are your standard covered reasons in case you need to cancel, you get sick or injured before or during your trip, adverse weather or natural disasters, travel delays, interruptions, lost, stolen, or delayed baggage, right? So that's your standard protection. So now, what we want to be thinking about now are, since we're in the age of COVID or the age of the pandemic, are pandemic endemic coverage endorsements. So that is something that you need to be paying attention to as well, because not all insurance policies have that. So the beginning of the pandemic, most of them didn't. So a lot of them were like, "So sad, nothing we could do for you," and they did not wanna pay out, even though you had canceled for any reason because, um, at that time, COVID was like an unknown it wasn't an epidemic at that time, and, people were they really didn't have a clear classification for it. So back then, there was a lot of craziness happening. Um, Insurance companies did not want to pay. Um, the suppliers did not want to refund money, especially the airlines at that time. The airlines, they were not giving refunds. They've changed a little bit, but now they're getting ready. They're slowly moving back to the way they were before. Not quite, but you got to watch that too. You got to watch your air. That'll be another video that'll talk about your air and the types of air um, to purchase, and your basic economy is not going to cut it. I'm telling you right now, basic economy is not going to cut it during the age of the pandemic. Okay, so here we go. We're talking about pandemic epidemic coverages. So, pandemic epidemic coverages, or a type of endorsement, is an endorsement on a specific policy that does make provision for COVID or epidemics. So now COVID is a known thing. So we know about it. It's known about, right? So they can't get away with not covering it because some companies were saying or do say that, well, it's known and we're not going to cover you. So you got to be careful when you're selecting your travel protection. So the insurance that I sell and use is Allianz Global Assist. And yes, indeed, it does have pandemic, epidemic coverage endorsements because it's a little bit different than your basic coverages. What it does is it adds covered reasons for certain losses related to COVID. For example, if you need to cancel your trip after you are diagnosed with COVID-19, or if you're quarantined because of COVID-19. So these are additional coverages that's spelled out in these policies. So that's something that you need to be looking out for when you're buying a policy. So many of the policies, they've just added it, at least, excuse me, Allianz has. They've added it to their policies. There's no extra for it. They're just covering it. So this is what you need to be looking at if you're out there booking your own travel, which I highly advise against in the age of COVID. I highly advise that you use a travel professional because there were just way too many hoops to jump through, and they change all the time. And unless you're paying attention, know what to look for, you can be caught out there. So here we go. What that pandemic endorsement does, it adds covered reasons to, cover certain losses related to COVID-19 specifically, or any other epidemic or pandemic. All right. So next, yep, that's what we're talking about. COVID-related trip interruption, COVID-related travel delay, emergency medical care, and emergency transport. So, like, let's say that you get sick in a destination, um, this insurance will cover your medical care. So, a lot of countries require that you have these coverages, and they're very specific on the type and the amounts that you need to carry. So, like Costa Rica, for example, they have their own insurance policy that they were at one point making all visitors purchase, unless you can prove that your policy matches and meets the needs that they have set forth for visitors coming there. And the reason they're doing that is because they just don't have the resources to take care of everyone who comes to the country. So they're looking out for their pocketbook, so to speak, right? So just make sure that your insurance has COVID or pandemic or epidemic coverages or an endorsement, right? Which is specific to COVID, trip interruption, delay, emergency medical, and emergency transportation. So that's important that you know that when you're looking at these policies, because you can go to these websites and you can look. And I actually have a search tool on my website, but it's for Allianz, but I have a couple more that are just general. And those policies, you got to know, you got to read the fine print and know that they have and they do cover for COVID. And you got to understand if you need to get on the phone with somebody, if you're one of my clients, if you need to, we get on the phone with the insurance agents um, to get clarification so we understand exactly. And I'll probably call them anyway because I I'm getting ready to travel um, February or March, and I really want to know. I just need that warm and fuzzy. Okay. All right. So now there's some additional things that you can look at, such as which is important when you're traveling, and this is what I do for my clients. This first bullet: travel supplier provided testing. So the suppliers that I select for my clients, I look for those suppliers who do it on site, right? Not only do they provide testing support on site, they also provide, let's say that you test positive and you can't fly home, right? They'll allow you to stay there. They'll compensate you to stay there for up to 10 days. So these are the type of properties that I book my clients in. So this is another option for you. These are things that you need to look out for. But travel advisor would be the best person to inform you or school you or, make sure that you are at the right place or you're booking at the right place. I can't tell you how many people that I'm like reading about and hearing about and chatting with who are like going to Mexico. And when they get ready to come back, they're vaccinated, they test positive, they may not feel sick. Maybe it's a couple, maybe it's a group. One of the group tests positive. Well, you can't come back home, right? Until you're negative. So what's going to happen? You've already checked out, right? You've paid for your stay. Now you got to stay a few days longer, right? So who's going to pay for that? Well, travel insurance will help you with that. They will help pay for your stay, but uh, these travel suppliers, like your hotels, your resorts, um, if they're saying that we are so confident in our health, cleanliness, and safety protocols that if you do test positive, we'll allow you to stay here for free up to 10 days. Yeah, until you test positive, test negative, excuse me, test negative. So that's another option. So that's something that I look for. All right. So let's see. The next thing you need to look at is medical and COVID testing supplemental plans or services. So there are services where you can buy like a membership, and let's say that you're on your own, or you're not staying in a resort per se, right? You are, comfortable traveling internationally, right? There are some services where or memberships where you can get access to testing wherever you are in the world, as long as they have partners there and have agreements there, and access to a doctor. And I do have one of my partners is called On Vacation Doctors. And let's see. On Vacation Doctor is one of them. They're one of my partners. So I do provide this membership. It's a nominal cost for it. They provide worldwide English speaking doctors. You get an app. They also provide a website. You can find local doctors for COVID-19 tests. Across the globe. So that's On Vacation Doctor, right? So that's just one of the services and one of the partners that I work with. And then there's one that's a little bit more costly, and that one is called Kovac Global. So this is what you call a membership where they actually come and evacuate you, right? Uh, and you don't need to test negative. They will just come and get you, right? So this is one of an elevated travel assistance program that's available, right? So this is called Kovac Global, right? So that's another one that I work with. So these are just additional services that you may want to look at if you travel and you feel like, okay, I need to get back home because of my job, or I just don't want to wait. So that is an additional service. Okay. So that's their supplemental evacuation and repatriation services. That's what Kovac Global. There's another one that I working with as well. That's Emergency Assistance Plus, and COVID is the Cadillac plan. That one's not quite as costly as Kovac, but based on your budget, based on what your needs are, you do have options. Okay, so now for those of you who really are interested in knowing what you should be doing in this day and age during COVID travel, get my free download. Don't travel without knowing this stuff. It's the complete checklist for traveling internationally during the pandemic. So don't get caught off guard. It's in the description of this video. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's also in the description. And I also have a Facebook group and a Facebook page. Don't forget to follow and like. And for you women entrepreneurs out there who love traveling, I do have a Facebook group just for you. The link is in the description. So there's also a link to some additional testing resources and a link to the video that I did 2 weeks ago on how to get testing for international travel. So this is Priscilla with Scylla Travel signing off, hoping that you have a great rest of your evening, day, lunchtime, morning, whenever it is that you are looking at this video. And one more thing, as always, remember, live the dream.